Hey there, Outliers. This is Niiamah Ashong, and welcome back to the Outliers Edge podcast. Welcome to part two of a conversation we're having with Chris Briggs. If you haven't watched part one yet, I recommend that you go back and listen to that there. We really talked about like navigating what it takes to create your own world, especially at the stages that show up when you're feeling the loneliness of it, when people aren't able to catch your vision or jump in the vision with you and keep moving on with you. So Chris and I had a riveting conversation around that, and we kept it real, including the fears and stuff that we were taken on and how we're navigating it. So if you haven't gotten a chance, go back and listen to that one first. We're going to now continue on in this part two of the conversation, just focus on Chris. It's not going to be that long. It'll be about like 5 minutes right now, but like we are like, what we want to do is just make sure that we're bringing in the realness, right? We talked about uncharted territory beforehand. Now we're going to go to a place that's uncharted for Chris. Chris, you good with that?
Yes, yes, sir.
All right, cool. So here's the thing. I'm going to hide nothing and hold nothing back in this conversation. You good with that?
Yes,
All right,
yes,
cool. And I'm here to serve you rather than please you. Are you good with that?
yes, sir.
All right. And the last thing is this: I have life-changing conversations on the reg. At this point in my life, if it's not life-changing, it's not worth having. Are you good with this being a life-changing conversation?
Yes.
All right, awesome. So if we were gonna play in that place, I want to let you know, like I am on your team on this, right? Like I have 110% enthusiasm and energy toward creating what you're doing. Like I see you, like we are co-creators. So if we were going to have, if there was something here right now that we could bring into this conversation, a problem, a challenge, a possibility that you're creating. I know that like what would we need to talk about that would actually that would actually feel life changing? What's the area right now that we would need to talk about that would actually feel life changing for you?
So I have established my podcast, and one of the initial issues that I'm having and challenges that I'm having is comparison,
Yeah.
because I look at, even though I'm just starting my podcast, and look at those who have been doing it a while, and I'm like, what is the difference between me? I feel like I have information, inspiration, that can cause people lives to change, and I'm starting to compare and feeling like an outsider, even to my context of where I live. Nobody where I live listen to my podcast, and so that's one of the challenges I'm having. And doing comparison, it will always lead to inactivity, so it causes me to be discouraged, to not want to do anything at all. So that's one of my challenges, one of the biggest challenges that I'm having within creating the world and the platform
Yeah.
of empowering people.
So let me ask you this: the couple quick questions. You said, what do they have that you don't have right now? Right? You asked it as a rhetorical question. Let me ask, rhetorical questions don't live very long in my world. So why don't you tell me what do they have that you don't have?
People, followers.
Okay,
I mean, people,
keep keep,
followers.
keep going.
The platform,
Okay,
um,
what else?
influence, influencers. Um,
What
I
else?
would, um, I would say that's really all. I mean,
That's
that's
it.
all. I mean, I have good sound quality, good
Yeah,
information,
yeah.
good. So honestly, there's really not a big difference. It's just they got more followers and subscribers than I do. That's yeah.
Well, there's something you said earlier too. So like I like this show here because now what we've done is we've changed this to it's like why don't I have what they have yet? It's like, oh well, because according to this, you don't have the people, you don't have the followers, you don't have the influence.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Great. So now we could answer those questions. How can I, right, increase the people who follow me? How can I increase my influence? Right? We got to change that question because there's one thing that you said off like when you first introduced this that got me right away. You said you did not say, I go to other people who have a podcast, and we'll talk about comparison overall in a bit, right? But I'm going to point out this one because it's right there. It's like, I go to people who have also started a podcast, recently, and I listen to their podcast. You didn't say that. You said, I go to people who've been doing podcasting for a while, right? So they have time. They have time. That's one thing that you do not have,
Wow.
right? They have time. Yeah. What's the wow for you?
Time.
Yeah.
That one
Yeah.
word, time.
Yeah. You talk
Time.
about how long have you been a pastor?
I've been a pastor going on 10 years, but I've been preaching 19 years this year.
19 years.
So time, that
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, like, think about this. Like, let me ask you, like, if you go out and someone came in and they're like, hey, look, I've been preaching for a little bit. I decided I want to be a pastor. I just don't know why my congregation is not following me or they're not reaching out to me. I'm telling them that they should be reaching out, all the stuff like that. Go ahead. What's going on through your mind if I say that?
No, it's just time. It's just that one thing, the same time heal all wounds or, the time. So I think I haven't given myself time. It's not even 6 months old. So I
Yeah.
haven't even given myself time. But within the 3 months, I'm a co-creator with you. I mean, people have reached out, some people have, and so if this is just the beginning,
That's just the beginning.
if I can only imagine if I give myself 6 months, a year, 3 years,
10
5,
years, 10
10 years.
years,
Yeah,
25 years.
yes, yes.
Hmm.
Mm,
It's not easy to create a world. If you really think about it, right? Because you brought up you were talking in world creation with me, which I loved, right? I love like it's different than goals, it's different than a dream, it's different than a project. You're talking about a world, right? The world we live in the um has the ground, uh has the different elements, has rain, has animals, has bacteria, has you name it, like it's all here. If you really think about what a world has, a world is no small thing. If you are here to create a new world, it will take time, at least for us as humans, right? It will take time.
right, right.
And to that point of you are not alone, I think that like that is one of the things like I will say we get that it will take time. When I say we, I mean your peers, your other world creators out there, right? Like my thing would be like, what would you want to create? How would you create this? We left and you gave yourself a chance to say, I'm not even going to worry about this because until 10 years down the path, as long as I know I'm moving in the right track here, the growth, because you talked earlier in our first part of the conversation about being a different person. You remember that? Becoming a
Right,
different person.
right. Yes.
We talked about the evolution of that. The you who you are right now can't even see what will happen 5 years of consistently showing up on growth gems, consistently building that world, consistently bringing people in. Are you willing to let time be an asset for you as opposed to a liability against you?
Yes. Yes.
That's my invitation right there, right now. We'll have a longer conversation here, but I feel like you'll be able to free yourself. The people around you right now at this time may need to see more things. Fine. And then there'll be a time that where you'll be able to graciously bring them in when they're like, "Did you? Your thing is great." You're like, "I've been doing it for 6 years. Thank you for coming on board." But like, better late than never. Come on in
Yeah.
if you can hold that with you here, because things take time. And I got your back. We'll help accelerate. We'll help compress time as much as we can. But the other thing is like a world has so many pieces, so many elements to it. So like there'll always be more, and you got that. What's
I
been
think I
Mhm.
think I have to understand this, that I'm not building a city, I'm building a world.
Oh yeah.
So, I have to understand that it's a difference in the two.
Yeah, you're not building a house. Like it's like
Yeah.
you have to like you build like it's like you have the raw materials. You have to like, get how do you get electricity going? How do you find contractors? What if they've never known what a building is? You have to be able
Mm-hmm.
to explain what a building. No, buildings can only be one story high. But what if
Yeah.
we could have a building that was they're so like,
Yeah.
you know, but you're like, but you are never actually alone. You're never actually alone. We see you and like and you the way that you're doing it helps us find you. The reason I'm talking to you is because you showed up as a leader and you created a podcast. I was like, that's my criteria. You got to show up. And if you show up, then I'm like, then I can find you. And now that you
Right.
showed up, we're finding you. We're reaching out. We're like, oh, hey, here he is. And the amount of people in your corner, the amount of connections, like I'm just saying, like, just think 5 years down the line around this. You know what it's like to be doing a profession for 10 years. You know what it's like to be preaching for 19 years.
Yes.
And you know how it compounds. All right. What's been your greatest insight from any part of our conversation today?
Man, I one of the greatest inspiration is that I've been like a book that's been on the shelf. Today I was open up and I was able to be read today. Um that there were hidden chapters and lessons that were in the book of my life the day that I was able to help others to read this book, you know. And I think that was one of the greatest inspiration, man. I've really enjoyed myself today, and even by me just talking and encouraging the outliners and even the outline the liners coloring out the line today is motivated me to give time and give myself opportunity. And we may talk about it, you know, if you know you permit. Give your give yourself room to fail. Give yourself room to grow. Give yourself time to mature. And we'll talk, you know, we may talk about that later, however, whenever, however you know, see fit.
We'll
But
talk. Well, like this
yeah,
is the beginning.
yeah,
As you
yeah.
like no, but like realistically, what if just so you know, I see you and I stepping on stages together 10 years from now, talking about like when we first met and like being in like stadiums around this stuff, right? Like my vision for us right now would blow like you think you're coming in for a podcast, but you're in for a whole relationship, you know?
Wow.
Yeah. Like don't worry. And I'll leave you with this as we wrap up for today. The way that I could help you see my vision, I could have talked about it. We could have I could have said this could have happened. We're going to do this on the podcast and so on and so forth. The way I got you to see it is to actually experience it, to see what it's like to be in my world, to come onto a thing and not talk about how can I help you become a leader who's getting your message out there. I'm like, let's just have you on the podcast and immediately your message will be out there. You get a chance to see it. Maybe it's even going beyond like seeing it for you, Chris, and help people get a chance to experience it. You're good with words. What would it like? What would be that step to also have them be able to like have an experience of the growth that you see possible for them? I'll leave you with that. You don't have to answer it, but just let that question like play out and like live into that question. How can I help you see by helping you live it? How can I help you see by helping you live? And like it's a different way of going about things, a different modality. But I think with what you do, it would only add on to what you got going. All right.
Okay.
All right. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Thanks for playing and thanks for trusting me.
Thank you again.